Today I learned about a pivotal moment in history that took place in South Australia. Back in the late 19th century, there were significant debates surrounding the idea of granting women the right to vote. Some believed that women weren't emotionally or intellectually capable of participating in politics, while others feared it would disrupt traditional family dynamics. However, in 1894, a turning point occurred when the Labour Party, sympathetic to women's suffrage, formed the government following an election. It was during this time that the constitutional amendment, Adult Suffrage Bill, was introduced. But there was a twist. Some conservative members attempted to derail the bill by suggesting that women not only be given the right to vote but also the right to run for parliament, an idea they considered absurd. Despite the opposition, the bill narrowly passed the Legislative Council. It then moved to the Legislative Assembly, where an amendment allowing women to postal vote was added. After much debate, the bill was finally passed with 31 votes in favor and 14 against, in the presence of around 200 women. In 1895, Queen Victoria signed it into law, making South Australian women not only the first in the world to gain the right to vote but also to run for parliament.
Today I learned about a significant adjustment made to GPS coordinates in Australia back in 2017. It might not sound like much, but all GPS coordinates across the continent were shifted 1.8 meters. This shift aimed to account for the slow and steady movement of the Australian continent due to continental drift since the last coordinate update in 1994. To put it into perspective, the Australian plate is on the move, shifting north at a rate of 7 centimeters per year. This movement makes it one of the fastest drifting plates globally. Now you might be wondering why this adjustment was necessary. In the past, coordinate differences of a meter or so were not a big deal because positioning systems were not accurate enough for people to notice. When the GDA94 coordinate system was introduced in Australia, GPS locations were only accurate to about 100 meters, sometimes even worse. However, two significant changes occurred over the years. First, Australia moved approximately 1.6 meters northeast, effectively altering the locations of mapped features and their associated GDA94 coordinates. Second, positioning technology evolved significantly. By 2020, Australia's movement reached 1.8 meters, and many of us now own devices capable of pinpointing locations with accuracy as precise as a smartphone.
Today I learned something rather quirky about the Australian state of Queensland. It turns out that owning a pet rabbit there is a bit more complicated than you might think. In Queensland, it's actually illegal to own a pet rabbit unless you can provide evidence that you're a magician. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would they have such a law? Well, it's a historical oddity. The reasoning behind this rule dates back to the early 20th century, when wild rabbits were causing significant damage to the state's agriculture. To control the rabbit population, strict laws were put in place, and owning a pet rabbit became subject to these regulations. However, magicians were exempt from this rule because they needed rabbits for their magic acts. Hence, if you could prove that you were a magician and required a rabbit for your performances, you could legally own one as a pet.
Today I learned about a rather amusing geographical feature in Australia, known as Mount Disappointment. This mountain earned its rather unusual name due to the circumstances surrounding its discovery. When the early explorers reached the summit of Mount Disappointment, they were met with a view that fell short of their expectations. In an effort to express their disappointment and capture their underwhelming experience, they decided to name the mountain accordingly. It's an interesting example of how explorers sometimes used humor and candidness when naming places they encountered during their journeys. In this case, Mount Disappointment serves as a reminder that not every discovery was met with awe and admiration, but even the less impressive sights found their place on the map with a touch of irony.
Please like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you.